following video is brought to you by the Boston Sports Entertainment Network. Please consider liking and subscribing for more Boston sports content.
The red, white, and blue. I can't lose with the red, white, and blue. My whole crew is the red, white, and blue. I represent the stars and stripes. I am a patriot, a true American. I am a champion, yes, and that's on everything. I will protect my home. I will defend, fighting tooth and nail to the bitter end. I don't play to lose, nah, I play to win. Rain, sleet, or snow in the wingland. What? Let me say it again. I play to win. What it is tradition. I'm in the game, playing like Brady. 10 soldiers deep in the field, no Navy. Riding for my soldiers and they riding for me. No matter where I touch down, it's a TD. 2 hands up, yep. Field goal.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pat's Nation Nightly. My name is Zach Ventola, joined as always by Ben Belford-Peltzman. We got a lot of news to get into, a bunch of coaching hirings by the Patriots since the last time we went live. But before that, Ben, how are you doing tonight?
Good. We got a lot to get to tonight now that I'm thinking about it, because of course we have to go over all of the recent Patriots hirings made personnel-wise, but also the Senior Bowl is next week, and we will definitely touch on that. So I'll start my introduction there and lead it right off to Zach. We now have a full offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and special team coordinator. All the coordinator jobs are filled. We have Josh McDaniels coming back for his third stint with the Patriots. We have Terrell Williams coming back. Or not, I shouldn't say coming back, coming from Detroit. And then coming back is Jeremy Springer, which does say a lot about how well he has done, that he was the only coordinator to survive all of the firings here. Alex Van Pelt is not going to stick around. DeMarcus Covington not going to stick around. And obviously, Gerard Mayo has already left. Jeremy Springer was the lone coordinator / head coach that is going to be around for this upcoming season. So we'll start there. Zach, your initial thoughts on McDaniels coming back, Terrell Williams from Detroit, and what you think about it.
Yeah, well, first, I don't think DeMarcus Covington is actually officially fired yet. I know
he's not
have a defensive coordinator. Yeah. But that is kind of interesting. Just throwing that out, it is kind of interesting to note that, because we've heard a large majority of the staff either leaving or staying, right? We know what's happening with Van Pelt. We know what's happening with Jeremy Springer, the 2 other coordinators. Obviously, we know what happened with Mayo. We don't know anything officially yet with DeMarcus Covington. Really, we pretty much know the entire offensive side of the ball. Who's staying and who's out. In fact, I don't believe anybody is staying. Defensively, we have little to no information other than Jerry Montgomery, the defensive line coach, being hired by the Bengals, correct?
Yep.
Bengals.
Yep.
But with Terrell Williams specifically, I think it's a good hire, a guy who has a great relationship with Vrabel. He came into the NFL in 2012. He began coaching in 1998, but began coaching in the NFL in 2012. Worked as the Raiders defensive line coach from 2012 to 2014, Dolphins D-line coach from 2015 to 2017, was solely the Titans defensive line coach from 2018 to 2022. And then in 2023, he kept that role, but also added on assistant head coach to his title. So a guy who has a lot of familiarity with Vrabel. Also last year, Lions defensive line coach and Lions defensive run game coordinator. So obviously a lot of that is very focused on the defensive line, right? Defensive line coach, defensive run game coordinator. But a guy like that is still going to be a leader especially when you know that he had that assistant head coaching title. He called plays in a preseason game for the Titans in that 2023 season. Seems to be very well respected by all of his players. So it's another guy who can command a room, which I don't think the Patriots had last year. Maybe I think we know a lot less about Van Pelt than we do the other coaches, just because there was a lot less things coming out negatively about him. But we know that Gerard Mayo couldn't really command the room that well. We know that DeMarcus Covington definitely could not. So the Patriots got a guy to fix that issue.
Yeah, also important to note here that this is a coach that's never been under Bill Belichick. So Mike Vrabel hired a coach, no ties to Belichick at all. He thinks really highly of Terrell Williams. He was the coach to hire him in the first place in 2018 with the Titans, and then he ended up being promoted to assistant head coach for the 2013 season in Tennessee. And that is something that we could maybe see. Like, he could maybe be have another title as well as defensive coordinator. But I just found that pretty interesting. Right now, as you said, Jay Montgomery is out.
Yep.
Hightower staying around for now. Mike Pellegrino staying around for now. Brian Belichick staying around for now. And then Drew Wilkins.
Do you think that Hightower stays? I don't
Yeah,
think so.
I mean, I do.
Really?
I do. I
Okay.
think so. I mean, I think they might bring another. Right now, they have an inside linebackers coach and an outside linebackers coach. Maybe they have two inside linebackers coach and an outside linebackers coach, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they bring in someone else. But I think he stays around for a little bit.
They did get Zach. I don't want to mispronounce it. Zach Core, I believe it's pronounced.
I'm not gonna be able to say that.
Kuhr. I think it's pronounced Core. That was reported by Joseph Pasteris. I also probably botched that pronunciation. Joseph,
he's been on a
roll.
streak recently.
He's been on a roll. But first reported by him. And Zach Core worked as an assistant inside linebackers coach or an inside linebackers assistant. I don't know if the phrasing matters there, but yeah. So we don't know what his role is going to be yet with the Patriots. Could it be that he stays as an inside linebackers assistant and then Hightower stays and now you have a lot more support there? Potentially. I think that is totally possible. So that is important to note when thinking about that. But going back to Williams and as you mentioned with like maybe adding on another role in addition to defensive coordinator, I feel like when you're defensive coordinator, and I could be wrong about this. Don't quote me on this. I don't know the numbers behind what position the assistant head coach typically coaches, but I feel like that's usually if you're a defensive coordinator, that's it. If you're an offensive coordinator, that's it. If you're an assistant head coach, you're probably that and another position instead of a whole side of the ball. So maybe you could be right that Williams does get an extra little promotion on top of defensive coordinator, but I would be kind of surprised if that were to happen.
Zach, hold that thought for 1 second because I'm pulling up a spreadsheet I have of all of the coaches in the NFL and their paths, and you're actually pretty right when it comes to that. Most of the NFL coaches, maybe not now, but they were once, like when they held an assistant head coach, they were tight ends assistant head coach, quarterbacks assistant head coach. Which makes sense because the coordinators are the one calling the plays. Sometimes you will also see a special teams and head coach, assistant head coach. So I will look up right now. So Dan Quinn was the Seahawks assistant head coach and a defensive line coach. Let's look. Anyway, while I'm still looking, you are right. It is usually a position coach and assistant head coach. So we might see that. We might not see that, depending on what happens here. And I'll give one more example. Thomas Brown, who is now a free agent, a coaching free agent, used to be an assistant head coach / running backs coach for the Rams. So there you go. That proves your point there. Usually position coach and head coach, or position coach and position coach and assistant head coach.
There you go.
There you go. Third time's a charm. So kind of sticking with Williams here, there has been some talk of how the Patriots are going to look schematically. And I've been trying to look on some film on the base defense the Lions run and how that could change with the Patriots. And I see all this talk on Twitter, they're going to do this, they're going to do this. The coaches make the scheme around the players, right? They're not going to come in here and say, we're going to do this, this, and this until they see what the players are capable of. And that's one of the first things I learned about coaching is you scheme around the players, right? So when you see Christian Balmer and what he can do, and Daniel Aquale and Devon Godchuk and all these defensive linemen for the Patriots, then you can kind of make an assessment of we're going to have 4 down linemen. We're going to run a 3-4. We're going to run a 4-4 stack. We're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to blitz this guy, right? There's so many endless possibilities that you could do after you kind of settle in and see what you're going to get the most out of, how you're going to get the most pressure on the quarterback, how you're going to stay the most disciplined. And the Lions defense was pretty disciplined. I have noticed that, and they're a well-coached team, and the Lions are going to learn the hard way. If you are a popular team on TV, those coaches, those coordinators, those assistant coaches, they haven't even won a Super Bowl yet. And they're coming into next season without their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, which kind of reminds me of the Patriots back in the day. But either or, kind of looking at some of these other coaches here, and then we'll come back to Williams. Right now, staying on the defensive side, like you were saying, the defensive line position is now vacant, and that is the only position right now that is vacant on the defense, for now at least. And who I believe, so at the end of the season, I know the expectation with the Patriots was they wanted Mike Pellegrino to stay around. And as of, I want to say 2-3 weeks ago, so a lot can change in that span, there hasn't been much interest in a promotion around the league. There has been interest in a defensive backs position, a safeties position, a corners back position with other teams. There hasn't been a defensive coordinator opening, a team that's looking for him to become their next defensive coordinator as of 3 weeks ago.
Do you know if there's any pass game coordinator type of openings? I mean, that's kind of.
I did not.
Yeah,
ask
that's a
that,
bit specific, but
that's
worth
also
bringing up.
I asked about a promotion and
Just in general,
in general, and they said no. So I think he wants to stay around. He loves it here. And Zach, I know you can attest to that. He really does like it here. And he's producing talent. We saw earlier today, Christian Gonzalez is going to be was nominated, or one of the finalists.
One of the finalists, yep.
Comeback Player of the Year, AP Comeback Player of the Year, exactly. So he's been producing a lot of talent, so I hope he stays. Same with Ryan Belichick. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if he leaves for UNC. Deontay Hightower up in the air, Drew Wilkins up in the air. And then we have 2 coaching assistants on the defensive side who joined Jamal Lett. I really hope I'm saying that correctly. And Vinny De Palma. Not much about them except that they followed Mike Vrabel from Tennessee, and they're going to come back to the Patriots via Vrabel.
And yeah, again, as you said, this defensive coaching staff is still subject to change, right? We don't know what it's going to be like. There's still open spots. There's still spots that could be open. I don't know as much about Brian Belichick leaving. I feel like this is just more of like a gut feeling, but if he were to leave for UNC, I think he would have done it already. He has no reason to stay on for stay on the Patriots staff for an extra however many 2-3 weeks, if he just knew he was going to go to UNC, because that's time that could be spent well over in North Carolina, and whether that's scouting, recruiting, working with some of the guys, and I don't know how much contact they have over the winter with their players, but working them out. I don't see why Brian Belichick would still be on this Patriots staff as of today if he has known that he was going to go to UNC, which again, if he's going to go there, he's known that for weeks. So I could see him sticking around. I think that if he does not stick around, it is more because of Terrell Williams giving him the boot than Brian Belichick leaving on his own terms. But he's done a good job overall in his years here in New England. So is Mike Pellegrino. So those are two guys who I'd love to see staying here with the Patriots. And building off of that a little bit, I know I just brought up to you the possibility of Mike Pellegrino becoming a pass game coordinator, albeit I brought that up with different teams, but I do like the possibility of him becoming that here in New England. I think that this defensive staff should have a bit more like positions, coaching positions that should be filled. So if you can get Terrell Williams staying at DC, get a good D-line coach who can maybe also be the run game coordinator, and then keep Pellegrino and also have him be the pass game coordinator, or potentially have Brian Belichick be that, that would be a pretty well-built staff on the defensive side, in my opinion. Moving on to the other...
Really quick.
Oh,
really
yeah,
quick,
go ahead.
Really quick. No, before you
Yep.
just get to your last point. I'm just scanning through teams' defensive staffs and their positions because I was just
Mhm.
curious on how that varies team to team. And you guys would be surprised about the amount of pass game coordinators there are on other teams. Dolphins, Jets just going past, the Baltimore Ravens, which also has a pass rush coach in addition to a passing game coordinator. Keep on going. The Bengals. So I'm just scrolling through, and the Patriots are looking like one of the few teams who doesn't have a designated pass rush coordinator on the defensive side. Most teams do have it on the offensive side, but anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Is it similar numbers with run game coordinators, or are those more
Run
rare?
game coordinators are a little on the defensive side. Run game coordinators are a little
Less
less
common?
common.
Yeah.
But I will say, you can read these positions, but you also don't know what these other coaches are doing and if they have those responsibilities, just not the title. Like
Mhm.
every team, right, will have defensive assistants and offensive assistants, and those will be the assistants who are helping out during practice, making sure to run scout team, helping with the quality control coaches to make sure everyone is prepared, that the scouting reports are written, that everything is to a T, right? And you just don't know what responsibilities what title has, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I'm a little skeptical about, but it's still interesting to see what team lists how many positions and how many titles on their team.
Yeah. So I guess moving on now, because we do want to get to the other side of the ball with Josh McDaniels and the staff that he could potentially be building. And then if we have time at the end, talk a little bit of Senior Bowl preview. But again, Josh McDaniels back in New England for his third stint with the Patriots, started in the NFL as a coach with the Patriots in 2001 as a personnel assistant. And this is a long resume, so bear with me for a minute. But coached as a defensive assistant from 2002 and 2003, was the Patriots quarterbacks coach in 2004 and 5, was the Patriots offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach in 06, 07, and 08, was the head coach for the Denver Broncos in 2009 and 2010. Then from 2012, oh, no, I skipped a year. In 2011, excuse me, he was the Rams offensive coordinator and the Rams QB's coach. And then 2012 to 2019, back in New England as offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. was only the offensive coordinator in 2020, but then in 2021, he got that QB coach role added back on before moving to Las Vegas and coaching the Raiders, being the head coach for the Raiders in 2022 and part of 2023. And of course, he was also a 6-time Super Bowl champion here with the Patriots, and he's still only 48 years old. So it's I know a lot of coordinators now are in their like 30s, but that's 48 is not old for a coach, right? It's not like he's 65, 70, and even that isn't ridiculously old for a coach. But again, as an OC, 48 is relatively young, and especially for a guy with a list of different positions that he's held, that is very impressive. So again, he's been working in the NFL since he was in his early 20s with the Patriots.
Yeah, a couple things. Well, a lot of things actually. First thing is, as extensive as his resume is, you'd be surprised about the amount of coaching stops some of these coaches have made. He's only
Mhm.
been with 4 teams, and
Yeah.
most of those have only been for 1 year, besides the Patriots. He does have a brother, Ben McDaniels, who joined him in Denver when he was the head coach with the Denver Broncos. And currently, Ben McDaniels is the wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator for the Houston Texans. That is a name to kind of keep an eye on, kind of watch here as someone who could come join the Patriots coaching staff as they need a wide receivers coach. But we'll get to
Mhm.
that in a second. Talking about Josh McDaniels, this is a win-win because in my eyes, he's not going to get hired as a head coach anywhere else. His
Yeah.
head coaching days are done.
Yep.
And
At least for a long time.
at least for a long time. And the Patriots don't have to worry about another team poaching him, right? Like
Mhm.
Josh McDaniels is pretty locked up in New England. He has a house in Foxborough. As many people have mentioned, he stayed in Foxborough. He has been with other colleges and NFL teams, and just trying to develop his scheme, his philosophy, his playbook even more. And I feel like that story was just a little overblown in the media. A ton of
Yeah.
countless coaches do that, and it's just not in the media. Like coaches, playbooks are built on previous coaches' playbook, and everyone just expands to their own thing, you know. So I think that was just a little overblown. But talking Josh McDaniels, him and Drake May, I mean, and it's important to note too, this was Mike Vrabel doing this hire, not Robert Kraft, as Adam Schefter said on WEEI, which is important to note. Mike Vrabel got his guy, Robert Kraft, had no say. He probably had a say, but this was not Robert Kraft doing this. But I'm excited. I'm really excited. I feel like McDaniels elevated the offense in 2021 with less than productive talent. He still has Hunter Henry, who was here in 2021. His Kendrick Bourne, who was here in 2021.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it for the skill makers. But I'm just interested to see what he does with weapons like Douglas. Right? How involved is Kayshon Boutte in the offense coming forward, right? So just seeing how he develops Drake May, most importantly, and maybe not a whole lot of 3rd and 11 screens, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just looked up Ben McDaniels, and he looks just like Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
It's kind of
He does.
scary. But I remember this must not still be the case, but when Belichick first got hired by UNC, or when he was like in contract talks, interviews, whatever, with UNC, wasn't it like very heavily reported that he wanted to bring Ben McDaniels onto his staff?
Mhm.
Whatever happened with that? That's kind of interesting. Like that it was again very heavily rumored. It was basically Ben McDaniels is going to UNC with Belichick, and Steve Belichick is going to UNC. And I guess the Ben McDaniels half of that fell through. Again, as you said, Ben's still in Houston as the Texans wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator. I don't know that he could really come to New England though, because it would have to be. I mean, anything can happen, right? People
you
can.
see what's happening
But
around the league as we speak right now.
what do you mean? Oh, Liam Cohen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Buccaneers offensive coordinator who seemingly
but
locked up
that's
a
different because
huge
that's
millions of dollar deal yesterday. He's now in Jacksonville, trying to become the next head coach. So
that's different though because that's a promotion, right? You can't really give Ben McDaniels a promotion over passing game coordinator and receivers coach. That only promotion that would be above that would be
yeah,
offensive
I mean,
coordinator.
I was
So,
just throwing it up. I mean,
but
like,
yeah, no, I get that. I'm not like, not to.
the promotion is being able to coach the same offense as your brother. You know?
Yeah, but that's not a legal promotion. Whatever the
Well,
correct
why do you need a
terminology
promotion?
is. Isn't that in their contracts or something similar? Like a team has to sign off if it's not a promotion. I might be wrong about that,
All right,
but
well, we'll check on that. I don't know. That's a good point.
I thought that was why. Like, also, I think Chad O'Shea, he is Cleveland's passing game coordinator and wide receivers coach, and he would need a promotion as well. Now, I don't know what is technically a promotion. Like, is assistant head coach a promotion over passing game coordinator and receivers coach? Probably, I'd say so, but that's also close. So if that is the case, like, I don't know that Ben McDaniels could be coming here. Maybe he could be. I'd say it's probably pretty unlikely.
I mean, it's probably definitely
But
unlikely.
yeah,
Just something
some other names to keep in mind though. I know it's been thrown around a lot, but Wes Welker, it's hard for me to believe that he won't be a Patriot again soon.
I was doing some digging about that and trying to figure out, and there's some guys saying, yeah, I've heard the same thing too. Like, and I'm like, really? Like, you have? And they're like, no, I'm just playing. I'm like, bro, like, like you don't know,
Yeah.
like I was trying to figure out if there's any communication, and right now it's really funny to me how there hasn't been a whole lot of leaks in the Patriots organization. And the
Except
leaks
for
all coming from Kirk Minahan of Barstool Sports.
and Joseph.
Yeah, but Joseph has always, I mean, if you look back at his stuff, Joseph
True.
has always
Yeah.
been
You're
on
right.
top of things. But he just hasn't been getting the recognition. It's funny, he tweeted about the Justin Ramos thing earlier today. Did you see that? Please tell
I
me
did
you saw
not.
it.
I'll
Oh
go
my
back
gosh,
and
it was
look at
so
it.
funny. It was like, yeah, and we can
I'll look at it right now.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
I'll just go through the streets. But
Yep.
Cunningham said on his show, I just want to take a second to talk about this. He was like, yeah, someone asked him, like, why do you keep getting these leaks? And he's like, believe it or not, there's some people who just don't think it's funny. Like, they're playing around in the Patriots organization and they're giving it to me. And I just find that funny because he is really kind of, I don't want to say exposing, but bringing light to the insider of a beat reporter. And I just found that funny to hear him talk about that. He called Ben Volin on it, and I don't know if I would have taken that call, but either way, he's a funny guy. Did you see it, Zach?
The tweet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Okay,
moving on. Gives us some time to talk about the Senior Bowl, just in case we don't go live again.
Real quick, Ben.
Oh,
real quick.
yes. Yeah,
also,
yeah.
Joseph is in the chat. We appreciate you, Joseph.
Oh, look at this. Wait, what are you?
Throw him up there.
We were just, look at that. Well, good work, Joseph.
Real quick, just because we do have one more hiring to talk about, since we're on the topic of the offensive side of the ball.
Shoot, I forgot.
Likely to be running backs coach. I don't know if that's confirmed yet, but Tony Dews is joining the Patriots staff. Again, I think it's as running backs coach for the Patriots. He spent a lot of years coaching college football,
A
and
lot,
he
a
a
lot of
lot,
years.
a lot of years. He has coached basically every offensive skill position. He
And
was
defensive skill position. Sorry.
He was the wide receivers coach and punt team coordinator for UMich. This is, by the way, a watered down version of his resume because there are a lot more hirings, but or a lot more jobs that he's had. But again, wide receivers coach and punt team coordinator for University of Michigan, tight ends coach for Pitt, wide receivers coach for Arizona, running backs coach for West Virginia. And then he began in the NFL with the Titans in 2018 and coached their running backs from 2018 to 2022. Then was a tight ends coach in 2023, I believe also for the Titans, if I'm remembering that correctly. And in 2024, this past year, he was the Jets running backs coach. So Joseph also
Jesus.
confirming our report.
Perfect. There you go.
Joseph, do you know if it's running backs coach or is that because again, he has a lot of experience. I believe it was reported as running backs coach, but he's kind of coached everywhere. I think
16 teams. I just wanted to point that out.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's
16
insane.
teams.
And when he was with Tennessee in 2018, do you know who had the first 1,000-yard season in 2018 with the Titans?
I mean, I think it's pretty easy to guess. That's Derrick Henry.
Just level one trivia.
Joseph says that it's not. He's not sure whether or not it is officially as
I'd be
running backs
surprised
coach.
if it wasn't a running backs coach. He just spent the last in 2025. He spent the last 8 years as a running backs coach.
Well,
college
except 2023. 2023 he was tight ends coach.
Sorry, yeah, except that.
But other than that, yep. Again, I agree. I think that it's as running backs coach. I believe that's what it was reported as, but I may be incorrect on that. I don't want to put words into the mouths of the people who reported it. But again, he has experience everywhere. They could potentially be waiting to name him, give him a specific position until they know what the rest of the staff is looking like, or until they have a better idea as to what it will be looking like. Because if they get a really good running backs coach and they don't have a tight ends coach, he could be the tight ends coach, or vice versa, he could be the running backs coach. So again, good hiring, I would say. Tons of experience, has worked with Vrabel, and again, he can work pretty much anywhere. So the Patriots should feel comfortable with their offensive coaching staff up to this point. I believe the only offensive coach who we haven't heard about, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I believe it's T.C. McCartney.
I mean, Ben McAdoo.
Yeah, I guess that counts. Yeah, he's just an offensive assistant, right? That was his official title, or is it just general assistant?
I really thought it was like senior something.
It could have been senior assistant. It was some sort of assistant, but I guess the only offensive position coach, or
senior offensive assistant. There you go.
There we go. So McAdoo, who I think should stay. Yeah. You have no reason to fire him. T.C. McCartney also probably should stay. I don't know if he will though.
You also have Evan Rothstein, who is.
Joseph is coming in with all the inside info
right
in the comments. We got to get him on here on our next episode because the man knows what he's talking about.
Assistant quarterbacks and director of game management, Evan Rothstein, is still on staff.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to get to the Senior Bowl here as we have about 10 minutes left. First of all, if anyone has any other questions about that or about anything, just let us know in the chat and we'll get
real quick. We'll go to Ken's comment real quick just before we switch on to the Senior Bowl. Will Troy Brown stay on the staff? Joseph, correct me if I'm wrong here. He's still on the staff right now, I believe. I think there's a good chance that he does, just because he has a good relationship with Mike Vrabel. He was at Vrabel's head coaching press conference. Uh, I I would think that he is going to stay, as Joseph reports. Troy Brown is still there. So again, as I said, I think Troy Brown will stay. Good relationship with Mike Vrabel, and likely also with Josh McDaniels, who he has played under and coached with, I believe.
Mhm.
Now, though, we'll move on to the Senior Bowl. Again, any questions, you guys can feel free to throw them in the chat. Uh, me and Ben will be.
Ben and I.
Yeah, I know. I realized that after I said it. Ben and I will be in Mobile next week. I'll be going down there on Tuesday. Ben will be going down there on Wednesday. Uh, you're going down. Your first practice will be Wednesday.
Oh,
That's
yes,
what I meant.
first practice. Sorry, yes,
I know.
yeah.
First I mess up the Ben and I, and then it's all
Yeah.
right.
Sorry, my fault. We're just not same wavelength.
No, it's on me. That's on me. But my first practice there in Mobile that I'll be watching will be on Tuesday. Ben's will be on Wednesday, and then the practice schedule is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday with Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Media day on Wednesday, nothing on Friday except for the parade, and game day on Saturday. Ben, can you give me a name to watch, a guy to
I
look
mean,
out for?
I can give you plenty of names. I think we're gonna have to do another show on the Senior Bowl because there's
Yeah.
just so many guys. But today we'll do and we'll be live. We'll try to be live every single day in Mobile.
Yep.
Tuesday, Wednesday. Tuesday's show might be a little late. It might be a little early. But definitely Wednesday, definitely Thursday, definitely Friday,
Mm-hmm.
Saturday too.
We'll try to
So
get some good guests on too.
exactly, we will do a um trifecta, quadfecta, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know. But we'll start with the quarterbacks
Crossover.
because the quarterbacks for me, even though the Patriots don't really need a quarterback, they don't need a quarterback. The sheer talent the Senior Bowl got at quarterback, you basically have every big name besides Shador and Cam Wood.
Yep.
Someone who I personally want to watch out of this group is Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. Every single year, for the last 2 years, I should say, I always try to ask people who is a player that teams and the NFL are higher on than the media and fans, and who is a player that the fans and media on are higher than the teams itself. And the one answer I've gotten so far that's been consistent is Jackson Dart, someone who the media and the fans are not as high on as the teams, the personnel, the scouts, right? And he is someone who Ole Miss, I mean, they beat Kentucky, man. They're in the playoffs. They're in the college football playoffs, and who knows? You see a team like Riley Leonard and Notre Dame, who Riley Leonard's also going to be at the Senior Bowl.
Yep.
I mean, he was known, but now he's really known. You know, that's what playing in the college football playoffs do to you. But before I get more into Ole Miss, just looking at the quarterbacks here, you have Dylan Gabriel, who's from Oregon, obviously coming off a really upsetting game against Ohio State, a blowout. No one expected that over there. And then also looking at, you have Will Howard from Ohio State, who I'm kind of still surprised is going to come after winning the national championship. You don't see that very often, but as of now, he's still coming. You have Riley Leonard. You have Jalen Milroe from Alabama, who is a bit of a surprise declaring for the draft. And those are really the big ones for me. And talking really, really quickly about these guys, and then I'll give it to you. Right now, just talking about Dylan Gabriel for a second, right? Oregon was, I mean, unequivocally the most talented team through the regular season of college football. Led him to a Big Ten championship, playoff appearance. He finished third place in the Heisman Trophy race. And he's the Ducks' all-time passing leader and leader in starts, right? And then you also have to think about the Oregon quarterback who just graduated from Oregon, Bo Nix. I mean, of course he spent time at Auburn, but They have a pipeline of developing good quarterbacks. Marcus
Mhm.
Mariota is also someone who went to Oregon, who panned out well in the NFL. I feel like could become a early day 3 pick as the Senior Bowl goes on. And then just talking about one more guy before I pass it to you, and then you can talk about 2 quarterbacks if you want. Jalen Milroe,
I got nothing on the quarterbacks.
probably. Well, I mean, to be fair, the Patriots don't need one. I just kind of just
Yeah.
excited to see Jalen Milroe, who's probably the most physically gifted passer in the 2025 draft class. He is, I mean, he is pretty special. When he is accurate with the football, kind of reminds me just a little bit of Joe Milton. Not a whole lot, but the way he is just a sheer arm talent alone, and he can be a game record. So, Zach, I'll pass it to you about some wide receivers, not to put you on the spot, but some receivers that you're looking for the Senior Bowl next week, who could be on the Patriots radar early in the draft, as we go to this middle to the late rounds of the NFL draft.
Yeah, I have a much better grasp on this receiver class so far than I do on any other because I'm so far behind. I'm not gonna lie. I've watched pretty much all the Senior Bowl wide receivers and basically nothing else. So I can talk about receivers, but just want to give a little anecdote before that because I remember last year going to the Senior Bowl. Can you still hear me? My thing closed out for a second. There we
Yeah,
go.
I can hear you.
Going to the Senior Bowl last year, and Ben, I hope you can attest to this. There were 2 wide receivers to me who were head and shoulders above everyone else. That was Roman Wilson,
I was
who I
just about to
still
say,
who I
I
still
remember
believe in.
Roman Wilson.
Who I still believe in. He didn't really get much of a chance this year
He was hurt too.
in Pittsburgh. Yeah, he was injured and then didn't really get a chance once he came back. Ben, do you remember who the other one was?
I knew it was Roman Wilson was one of them.
It was.
Um,
It was Lad
ooh,
McConkey.
Lad McConkey.
It
See, I
was
should have
Lad
known that.
McConkey.
I should have known that. For some reason, I forgot he went to the Senior Bowl. Wow. And we both interviewed him too. I'm disappointed in myself. I am disappointed.
So again, those were all that was in the one-on-ones, and I know one-on-one routes, just straight up wide receiver versus DB doesn't necessarily translate to the NFL. It is putting the DB in a very difficult position, with no help and 50 yards of completely open space. Uh, but that's what I'm going to be watching, right? Those DBs or sorry, those wide receivers going up against those DBs because last year that kind of proved who was who were the real guys in that draft class, right? Who could go out and just win. And Lad McConkey was one of them. My guess, and this is a complete shot in the dark because
What,
I
can
that
we
there's
say it? Can we say both of our guesses on the count of three
I
and
don't
see if
think
it's the
we're
same
gonna have
person?
the same guy.
All right,
I
ready?
don't.
You count us down.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Jalen
Pat
Royals.
Bryant. Oh. All right, you say.
I
You say.
I didn't love Pat Bryant honestly, but nothing. Sorry, Jalen Royals though out of Utah State, so maybe not the most prestigious football school, but he is quick. He's smooth. Uh, I I like pretty much everything about him. Didn't have the best hands, but they were a little bit inconsistent. Uh, but he was a nasty route runner, and I think that is going to be on full display over in Mobile next week. Some other names to watch for: Jalen Noel out of Iowa State. He's been getting a ton of love on Twitter. I know Scout Scouted NFL, Scout D NFL has given Jalen Noel a lot of praise over this past week or two. Xavier Restrepo out of U Miami, and a whole lot of other guys. There are a lot of good receivers who are going to be in Mobile. But with that, I believe we are good for this show. We will be having another one very soon. Again, to go over everything that will be going on in Mobile next week at the Senior Bowl and talking some Patriots. I'm sure that there are going to be lots of hirings made for assistant coaches and everything else. But until then, we'll see you guys next time.